Prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together here in the city of Jeffersontown for this meeting. We thank you for our mayor and city council members and ask your blessing upon them in their discussions and decisions. Be with all that have gathered here tonight. We especially are glad to have the Girl Scouts and their parents and family. Pray your blessing upon them and their work and endeavors. Be with all those that live and work in this city. We're so very thankful to be here, and we pray that you will be especially with those who protect and serve us to keep them safe. Watch over and guide us. Bless this meeting to your honor and glory, for it is in your holy name we humbly pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Didn't know you was out at Thomas Jefferson. Who you were. We're going to have the visitors come up, but at this time, I'm going to make a little change on our agenda for the night. Because we have so many people here from Plainview that are going to want to talk, and it's a McDonald's style hearing, we're going to go ahead and have the funding request and also the visitors. So when I call your name, if you would please come up, I would appreciate it. Myra Fugate.
Hello. Nice to see you all. I'm from the Jeffersontown High School Alumni Association. I did send a packet that I hope everybody got. If not, I'll give you sort of a rundown of it. The high school really needs to replace the scoreboards in the gym, partly because they're unsightly. They're not the original, but pretty close. Although they are just ugly, we also have another need for them. The small gym is now holding competitions, basketball, etc. And so we can move those scoreboards to the small gym while we can get new ones for the big gym. I don't know if you've been there lately to the school, but we have a new athletic director and he is fabulous. He's making all kinds of new improvements and the school looks just fabulous. In the packet, I included a picture of the last thing that you granted us was the tennis courts. There's a before and after. And so you can see how much difference it makes to have things that are really top-notch looking.
Looks nice.
It looks fabulous. And so, yes, we really appreciate your all's help in that endeavor. So the gym now has a new floor. They have new bleachers. They're having all new banners, new and updated banners of all of the championships in there. And so the scoreboards really do need to be updated. Any questions for me?
Do y'all have any questions? Tonight, the money will not be awarded. It will just be, we want to hear what your all's song and dance is, basically. And then we will go over it, and I think it will be awarded next meeting, Bill? Yes. Okay. Yeah, next meeting. Anybody got any questions at J-Town? Huh?
You'll vote on it next meeting.
Yeah. Any questions, guys?
Yeah, we
No.
did make sure that the alumni is a 501(c)(3), right?
Yes, we
have
are.
written to the alumni. I know in that back or in the past athletic departments and stuff like that.
Yes. No, but the alumni has its own account. Yes.
All right, good. Thank you.
And
I
usually
gotta
what
ask one
happens is,
question, Myra.
Mhm.
Do you want 75,000 or 7,500?
well, 7,500.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say 75,000. You might as well leave. We don't have it.
If you've got it to spare, we'll take that.
Okay,
But
okay.
more realistically, I thought 7,500 would be
You
wonderful.
need 7,500 and the amount requested is 4,500. So I just want y'all to know that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Myra.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Next, I have Addie Snegelbaum and Grace Bands and Allison MacArthur. And I heard you girls were coming. And I heard you're a nervous wreck. Is that right? That's okay. You can be very at ease here.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight to discuss our trip to Savannah, Georgia. My name is Addie Singelbaum. This is Gracie Baines, and this is Allison MacArthur. We are from Girl Scout Troop 1528. We are sixth graders at St. Edward School. 12 girls from our troop are planning to take a trip to Savannah, Georgia this June. We want to go to Savannah because it is the birthplace of the founder of Girl Scouts. Founder of the Girl Scouts is Juliet Gordon Low. We are going to do many activities when we are in Savannah. For example, we will tour Juliet Gordon Low's birthplace and visit the first headquarters for Girl Scouts. We also plan to learn about other historical places in Savannah and about marine life on the Gulf.
A lot of fundraising for our Savannah trip. Of course, we have sold a lot of cookies to raise money, but we have done other fundraisers too. In December, we sold poinsettias, and we are currently helping out at our school fish fry. We also have several other fundraisers planned for the spring, including a big yard sale, but we would still appreciate it if the council could help by making a donation to our troop. Our Girl Scout troop does many things to help out the J-Town community. For example, in October, we carved pumpkins for the J-Town Halloween Fest. One of our big projects that we do every year is called Snacks and Snacks. Many Girl Scouts for all grades come together and make up hundreds of bags filled with different snacks and treats to give out to people without homes in our community. And for the several years, our troop has made Halloween treat bags for the Franciscan Kitchen in the Home of the Innocents.
Our troop is also filled with girls who help out the St. Edward community. Many of us volunteer as altar servers at masses on weekends and at school. We also make holiday cards for homebound residents in Jeffersontown. We also volunteer and work a booth every year at the St. Edward School Picnic. Last fall, we also planted a tree on the grounds of St. Edward in memory of a classmate who had passed away. We plan to continue to find different ways to serve St. Edward and J-Town in the months ahead. For example, in a few weeks, our troop is planning a service project to clean up trash and litter at a park in J-Town. Thank you for being here tonight and listening to our speech. If the J-Town City Council is able to give our troop a donation, you will be helping to shape the next generation of female leaders in our community. We are lucky to be Girl Scouts in J-Town, and we will continue to give back to our wonderful community. On behalf of Girl Scout Troop 1528 from St. Edward, thank you and have a good rest of your day.
Well, that was very nice.
Very nice. Thank you.
Do y'all have any questions? Wait a minute, girls. Do y'all have any questions about the girls, what they're doing? They do a lot of volunteer work around the city, and we appreciate that. And thank you very much. And I think I might know your dad. Did your dad used to be on TV?
Yeah.
I thought so. You look like him. Yes, I thought that. Well, thank you, girls, for coming. We will all get together and they will look at what your funding request is. Here's what it is. The total amount required is $30,000. They're asking the city council for $5,000, and they need it by June 2024. And you all will get a copy of this. And then next week we will award how much money that you're going to receive from us. Okay. And thank you, and keep up the good work. You're our future. You're our next city council. Thank you for coming. Okay. Did somebody else just come in that needs to speak? The Boy Scouts? Does he have a funding request? Is that what you're here for, sir? You want to speak? No funding, but he can speak. He ought to speak now before or forever hold your peace, because we got a long night. Okay. Oh, okay. So they just want to sit and listen.
Yeah, they'll watch a meeting and then
Okay, that's fine.
after the
That's
meeting, I
fine.
think it's after the meeting, Mayor.
Okay. Okay. Well, he told me to take him before. Okay, that's fine. You can sit down and listen, and that we're good. Okay, as far as the funding request, guys, Eastern High School was here last week, and that was where that they had the lock-in, if y'all remember that, about the gym. And then we've got Plainview Swim and Dive Team funding request, $2,000. 3,000 was for Eastern High School, 5,000 was for them tonight, and then Meyer Fugate, $7,500. So those will be the ones that you'll go over, and next week we will,
How much was Eastern? I'm sorry.
for who?
Eastern.
Two, oh, wait a minute. Eastern was 3,000. Total required was 30.
I never got that in that packet.
I know. I don't guess anybody, y'all. Never, none of these were at that. I will have Missy email this all to you, or we'll get copies of it or something tonight. Okay. I'm gonna take those out there. Okay. Next thing on the agenda, reading of the minutes, February 20th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. General fund warrant number 1602.
I'll make a motion to approve general fund warrant 1602 as distributed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Road fund warrant number 989.
Make a motion, we approve road fund warrant 989 as distributed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What was I doing?
I can make the first motion.
Opposed? Motion carried. At this time, I will entertain a motion to open a McDonald's style hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, this is a McDonald's style hearing as opposed to what we had at our last council meeting, which was a public hearing. That was necessitated because we did not get a full record from the planning commission, and consequently, you need to have that record to base your determination upon. This is what's called a McDonald's style hearing. It's predicated upon a 1971 case style Louisville versus McDonald, obviously. And in this case, it is an argument on the record. And for the record, I will stipulate that the city council has been provided with the entire minutes of the planning commission together with the public hearing, which was transmitted out here. The way this will be conducted, we'll have a staff report first from Mr. Rusi, followed by the applicant and any supporters of the applicant, and then any Protestants to the application will have an opportunity to speak, after which the applicant will have a short rebuttal. I believe you limited the speeches or to the discussion to 3 minutes per person. Is that correct? Except you generally allow the attorneys or the main
For as long as
presenters,
you want, right?
they can have a reasonable amount of time, not as long as they want always. With that said, and then after the public hearing, immediately when it's over, you'll be presented with two alternatives. One is you can go ahead and have a reading of the ordinance which has been furnished to you, and have a first reading of that ordinance, which is an approval of the zoning change, or you can make specific findings of fact against the recommendations of the planning commission and move to deny it. There is a third alternative. If no action is taken within 90 days, it will become law as just by fact that you haven't moved upon the recommendations, and the recommendation will become a planning and zoning issue. With that said, we can start the public hearing with Mr. Rusi's production.
Okay. Before I get started on the PowerPoint, so I don't forget about this, Phil Mason, who had spoken at the public hearing, asked that this be handed out.
If I could interrupt, I got one of those also, Steve, and Mr. Mason did speak at the public hearing, and I would be concerned that this might constitute new evidence. So the city council is familiar with his discussion.
Yes, and he had submitted previous information to the planning commission that would have been transmitted.
I think everybody here got a copy of it, if I'm not.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody did.
Okay, so I don't need to hand this out then. And as usual for zoning cases, so I don't add anything into the record that's not already there, I present the planning commission's staff case manager's PowerPoint. So that's why it says Dante St. Germain instead of Stephen Rusi. Okay, so this is a zoning change request from OR3 office residential to OTF, Office Tourist Facility. They are requesting a waiver along the private access easement behind the Barnes and Noble property to eliminate a landscape buffer area in screening and plantings. Those actually should have been on the commercial side. This is the OTF, which is a lower, but because it wasn't provided on that property, it would have been required on this. And of course, there's a detailed district development plan with binding elements along with this. So it's currently vacant. There were previous proposals. The latest one was a 124-room, 4-story hotel development. Previously that, it was rezoned in 1982 for multifamily. At one point proposed to be an apartment hotel. Proposed office buildings, and again in 2020 was the proposed apartments, 124 rooms or units with that was 105 units with 4 buildings in the 2020 case, and a variance was approved for the height for those apartments from the Jeffersontown Board of Adjustments in 2020. Can you advance it? This one's not working. So the property you can see is in a suburban marketplace corridor form district adjacent to the neighborhood form district. It's currently zoned OR3 and they're requesting the OTF. So you've got R6 apartments to the east, R4 single family residential to the northeast, and then the commercial properties, which is the Lowe's development with Republic Bank directly to the north. To the west is the existing, I guess it was approved as an apartment hotel in OR3. And then the C1 there is the Barnes and Noble in that shopping center. So there's the aerial photo. You can see this is the vacant property in that location with the residential in the neighborhood form district to the east. This was an early general plan from the 1982. You can see where the apartment hotel was dashed in. And they did a general plan. They, at that point in time, didn't have any detailed plan for that property. I think this might be working again. Maybe not. This is the proposed development plan with the 124 room hotel. It's kind of in the center of the property, has 124 parking spaces proposed, and it has entrances only off of the private road to the west, adjacent to the commercial property. It does not have any proposed curb cuts onto Stone Creek Parkway. We need to go forward. I think that was the previous one.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so these are some of the building elevations. These were transmitted to everybody as well. And the short ends of the building. There is a binding element on the that was proposed, I think, at the meeting to not provide any signage on the east elevation there, which is the elevation that faces the single family residential. And this is the subject property from Stone Creek Parkway. The office condo buildings are there on the left. Straight ahead is kind of the Barnes and Noble property, the hotel that's up closer to Hurstbourne Parkway, and on the right is the Republic Bank. And the top left there is just the office property, office condo property to the south. The bottom right there is the hotel to the west. And then the residential to the east The bottom right is I believe the entrance to the, apartments, and the top left is, the roadway up to, I think it's Willowhurst subdivision.
Willowhurst, yeah.
So her staff findings was that this request was compliant with Plan 2040, the comprehensive plan. The site is vacant. Obviously, none of the previous proposals were ever constructed. Proposed zoning compatible with the surrounding residential and zoning districts, zoning uses. It's close to Hurstbourne Parkway, is kind of a step down in intensity to the residential to the east. And that the detailed district development plan meets the land development code requirements and Plan 2040 guidelines. So they did indeed, in fact, recommend unanimously to recommend approval of the change in zoning to the city, to Jeffersontown. They recommended approval of the landscape waiver as well as the detailed district development plan with the binding elements. And I think that's the end of that.
Two quick questions if I could.
Mhm.
So the entrances to the hotel are coming off of the commercial entrance. So
I'm sure they'll be providing landscaping, but yeah, I mean, that is, I think they did that to,
It's going to be in
Keep
the
the-
front, Tim.
yeah.
It will not be in the back
yeah.
where the housing is, that they can see that. It all will be in the front facing the other hotel. The way I understand it. No.
Yeah, they're gonna have it looks like they're gonna have all that landscape along Stone
Yep.
Creek.
That's
Mhm.
what I thought too. I thought it was in front of like the neighborhood, not those houses back there.
Yeah, there will be screening and buffering adjacent to Stone Creek Parkway. There's a requirement in Chapter 10, Part 2 that requires a hedge or screen to block headlights from the parking lot to the roadway. And
the last question, just to confirm, the Hyatt Place is 6 stories and this is 4, correct?
this is for,
Mhm.
I think the Hyatt was 6 and it was on a higher elevation. Okay.
Steve, can I ask one more
Mhm.
question before we transition to the next PowerPoint? As a detailed district development plan, if it's approved, it's got to be this hotel. If the developer wanted to change to something else, they'd have to go through the whole process again.
they would have to come back for a revised detailed district development plan. The zoning would still remain OTF, Office Tourist Facility, but you would, and we have added a binding element at this point, binding element number 14 that says the property shall be used exclusively as a hotel. I think that was based on discussions from the public hearing that we've all watched.
Let's say, and
so-
non-extended stay hotel, just overnight hotel.
And,
That was
and,
part of
and that's
the-
so that it's exclusively for a hotel.
If I may, the definition of a hotel states specifically, this term does not include short-term rentals, boarding and lodging houses, nursing homes, or assisted living residences. And that's why we added, I'm going to ask, I've already discussed this with Cliff. He's in Cliff Ashburner, who's not here. Who's going to be standing in for Cliff tonight?
Thank you.
And I will ask them before we get into this any much further, that if they do agree on the record, that not only will this binding element be agreed to, but they're also agreeing to the hotel only and to, with respect to signage, that it will not face eastward,
Right.
which is towards the houses. So that's the agreement as I understand it, and I'll get her agreement when she stands up.
If I may explain something to the council, this property is already zoned for apartments.
Mhm.
So if we don't do anything, y'all don't do anything, they can put apartments there. So I just want everybody to know that. We don't have to do anything and they can build their apartments.
I may have missed this, but they have 2 years. Is it 2 years?
Yeah, the
Do their
detailed
project.
district development plan is valid for 2 years. Within that 2 years, they have to pull their permits.
Okay.
Then they can extend it out if construction
Yeah,
requires it,
understandable.
but that's pretty typical. It
Steve,
used to
on
be
that,
1
it-
year.
It would stay at the new zoning that we would change it to, correct? It would not go back to the OR3?
Correct. Once the zoning change, that's an ordinance, so that becomes the
Okay.
new zoning on that property.
Thank you.
But Steve, just to confirm, under that, it'll stay the OFT. If the 2 years expire, there still requires a new detailed district development
Yes,
plan.
for anything to be developed there, they will have to come back with either
After 2 years.
Yep.
the same or a revised proposal.
Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
At this point, we'll call upon the applicant, or the applicant's attorney, if you'd please come up and state your full name and address.
Hi, I'm Emily Vessels. I work with Cliff Ashburner at Dinsmore and Shoal, 101 South 5th Street, Louisville, Kentucky, 40202. And tonight we have Kelly Jones with Sayback Wilson and Lingo, and Blake Hyman with is the applicant and property owner for the site. Next slide for me. So as he said, this is the existing zoning. It's off South Hurstbourne Parkway, right next to the Hyatt Hotel and behind Barnes & Noble and the Aldi. You can see from the existing zoning, there's a lot of commercial surrounding it and higher density residential. And this OTF zoning is the least intense zoning district that would allow hotel use. And as Mr. Rusi said, this site was previously approved for an apartment community. So this is less intense than as a hotel use. Next slide, please. Again, here's an aerial of the subject property. You can see the commercial sites to the west in that shopping center, and then the Hyatt. And then right to the south of the site is those office buildings. And then you have the apartments further to the east of that site with the residential properties where the tree canopy is. Next slide, please. This is the adjacent hotel and retail building from the site. You can see the Hyatt Place right there, and then that Barnes & Noble. And this is the Willow Ridge Drive. And then the next slide should be, this is the adjacent office buildings you can see to the south of the site. This is Willow Ridge Drive looking south. So part of the waiver that we're requesting is just to maintain that area as the same as it is. Like Mr. Rusi said, if Barnes & Noble if we were developed first, then they would have had to include that buffer, but that's what we're requesting the waiver from, just to maintain that street the same as it is now. And that will be the only access point to the site. So we're not going to have any access point onto Stone Creek. And then this is Stone Creek Parkway, and then the adjoining residential sites. Next slide. Again, this is the proposed site plan. As you can see, the hotel is going to be closer towards the south side where the office buildings are. It's about 100 feet in between. And then if you go to the next slide, you can see the landscaping that they're providing and the buffer that they are providing. So they're adding 23,000 square feet of tree canopy where none exists today. As you can see, that was just vacant land, and pulling the structure towards the back with the landscaping surrounding the perimeter so it's closer to the office spaces and not making a significant buffer between the single family residentials properties. And then again, this is the waiver area on Willow Ridge Drive towards the building of the hotel and behind the Barnes & Noble building. It's a 20-foot waiver that we're requesting so that we can maintain that drive as it is today, and because that'll be their main access point. Again, you can see it here. This is sitting on Willow Ridge Drive. You can see a Hyatt Place on that left picture. And so everything will be maintained the same as it is today. The renderings we've just included, and Blake can talk more on that if you have questions on it. And I think that might be
I got questions.
it. And then to address your question, the number 12 of the binding element requires that no sign will be on the east side of the building facing the residence, single-family residence.
And you're agreeing to that on behalf of the applicant?
Yes.
I'd also ask you to agree to binding element number 14, which I believe Cliff has already agreed to. The property shall be used exclusively as a hotel.
Yes, we will also agree to that.
The rest of the binding elements are in accordance with the planning commission's recommendations, and you agree to all those.
Absolutely.
I did think of a question. The waiver between the property and Barnes and Noble, that's to allow the building to be as far south and west from Stone Creek Parkway as possible.
Yes, and to keep Willow Ridge the same as it is, but you can speak more on that.
Kelly Jones, Sayback Wilson and Lingo, 608 South 3rd Street, 40202. I am landscape architect. I did the plan here. So the waiver is essentially that landscape buffer would be required at the property line, but the property line is in the middle of the road. So we can't provide a landscape buffer there. We are providing green space between the building and the road, but it's not at the property line because again, it's in the middle of the road. So really, that's what that waiver is for. And it is only for that little sliver of yellow that you saw there that's behind Barnes and Noble. That buffer is not required between the Hyatt Place and us. It's just required between Barnes and Noble and us. So that is where that waiver is requested. Now, we are far exceeding the requirements on landscaping and things here. We're going to be meeting all the other requirements, particularly those along Stone Creek Parkway. And we've provided further setbacks from the office buildings to the south and things along those lines to make sure that we're compatible and that we're good neighbors.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Do we need to add that to it as a binding element? If part of that street is your property, are you going to shut that off someday and people not be able to go in the back of Barnes and Noble in the back of that, or?
No, there's an access easement over that street, so that's not something we'd be
They
able
can't
to
shut
do.
down.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
just
legal
cheap.
access over that.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Anyone else in support? Do you have
I've got-
anyone else in support that's going to speak
I
tonight?
got someone else here. Blake Hyman.
Hi, I'm here and available if you have any questions. We're the applicant, but I think they did a great job.
Oh, okay.
answering.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No one else here to speak in support of this project, then we'll call what the Supreme Court of Kentucky calls the Protestants.
The
Who
Protestant.
is going to be the first speaker?
Mark, do you have anybody that wants to talk besides you? Oh, Mark's going to be your spokesman. Okay.
Mayor, City Council, I'm here as a board member of the Plainview Residents Association, and we're glad to hear that they want to be good neighbors. We want to be good neighbors with them. We are supportive of a nice hotel going on that spot. It is much better than what could go there. So we do appreciate it. You know, the property will affect residents in that area. The residents down on Pennyroyal are 164 feet from the edge of the property. The residents over in the apartments are, I'm sorry, I got my numbers. Yeah. The apartments are 164. Residents in Plainview are 126 feet from the edge of that property. And we were glad to see the trees going up on the edge of that property. Ask maybe a little bit more density on that because there are going to be a lot of lights on there. And we're concerned about the lighting affecting the residents as they sit out in the evening, enjoying their decks. So we would ask that we get some consideration on the lighting be controlled and, you know, towards the building, the signage not being towards the residents is a very good thing. We do appreciate that. The detention basins, as I understand, will not hold water because we've got enough of our feathered friends in that area already. But I want to make sure that that's right, that detention basins would be dry
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Other concern being, hotel, will there be any outside entertainment venues, any restrictions on any noise levels or any hours that could happen? So that would be that. And then the parking is a concern. That street, goes right up next to it. We sure wouldn't want semis or anything like that parking on that street in the evening running, disturbing our residents. We appreciate the Marriott brand. It's always good. We would expect them to control the trash and litter and that type of thing. I think that is all our concerns.
I think I can address two of those issues.
Yeah,
Number
appreciate
one,
that. We're gonna
in binding element number 7, there shall be no outdoor music, live, piped, radio, or amplified, or outdoor entertainment or outdoor PA system audible beyond the property line. That's with respect to your first issue. And with respect to the issue of parking, as I think we discussed earlier, they have no control over that. That's up to the city. And right now, there's been no request for no parking signs. And I think in the past, some people have seen trailers, trucks out there, and they have to call the code enforcement board. If it does become an issue, then you can come before the safety committee, which is the chief of police, city clerk, and myself, and public
where?
works director. And request that no parking signs, although I think there might be some residents that park there occasionally. But that'll be up to you all to come and ask for that from the city, not from them.
Sure.
They have no control.
Thank you.
We want a nice development there too, as well as you do. And I've never known Mr. Nichols to put anything that wasn't top notch in any of his places that he developed. So I feel like that would be a good thing. Although I don't have a vote, I'm just saying I think it would be a nice development for you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? I hear no one, Mayor, so we can conclude the argument style hearing at this point. And by the way, if anybody's,
I get to rebut.
Did you want some rebuttal?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, again, my name is Kelly Jones. I did want to answer a couple things. We did talk at the public hearing from the Planning Commission, Louisville Metro Planning Commission, that, loading and things like that, semis, they will come in, they will park in the parking lot itself for a very short amount of time, unload their stuff and leave. They won't be there very long at all. They will not be parking on the street. But as he said, there are avenues if something were to happen down the road. Lighting will be meeting the requirements of the Land Development Code, which requires shielded and down angled lighting. So it's not shielded out or shooting out or up at the adjacent properties. In addition, the hedgerow that'll be planted along Stone Creek Parkway will help to shield any lights from cars that are parked in the parking lot there as well. So hopefully that'll help with the light situation. The detention it's not retention, it's detention, which means it fills up after a rainstorm and then empties out slowly. So we're not flooding the downstream system, but it will empty out all the way completely. So it won't be holding water. And of course, all of those details will go through when we get to construction approvals with MSD and all of that. But that is a detention basin, not a retention basin. Yes, as he said, there's no outdoor entertainment. The binding element, I think, covers that fairly well. And I believe that answered all your questions. And I'm happy to answer any other questions that you all may have as well.
Kelly, one question I had, I think at the hearing downtown, they did state there is really no dock area, I think, for the tractor trailers.
Correct.
So basically they would have to pull in, get their stuff out, and then leave the area and be gone.
Correct. And that is the way that it happens at the other hotels that they have. That's the way that it is happening in other places. This isn't something we just made up for this place.
Right.
So that's standard procedure.
Thank you.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't know which one of you were talking.
No,
I'm
that's okay.
short and I can't see your mouth.
Well, I think I'm right here. I think it also mentioned that there wouldn't be much outside traffic. You all were talking about noise because there's not going to be a restaurant. It's literally going to be a sleep place. Are you still gonna have a ballroom or anything that will be rented for meetings or just straight hotel rooms? Okay. Yeah, so you got enough
Good question.
restaurants in the area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Visit our Jeffersontown businesses.
Now, having heard the rebuttal, but before we close this, I do want to point out to the city council, I don't know if you noticed, we didn't swear witnesses in tonight. Well, the reason is they're not giving new testimony. They're not presenting evidence to this body. They're merely making arguments in support of however they feel about this project based upon the record that's already available. That's why why we didn't have witnesses sworn in. And having concluded the argument style hearing, it's now to the city council to determine two things. You can do this right after you close the argument style hearing. Number one, they have a first reading of the ordinance, which contains the binding elements that we've discussed, which does approve the project, or you can make specific findings of fact if you have them against this project, and on that basis, move to deny the project. Those are the two options that are available to you right now.
Make a motion, we close the McDonald's style hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I make a motion, we, accept this waiver.
Have a first reading of the
First reading of the waiver.
ordinance, I think it's 1447.
Yeah.
Series 2024.
1447, series 2024 as distributed.
Second.
By title only.
Title.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
An ordinance to amend the zoning of certain parcels of land located within the city of Jeffersontown, Kentucky from OR3 classification to OTF classification with a waiver and a detailed district development plan. This being a first reading, Madam Mayor, you may pass it to the next meeting.
So moved.
Do anything else on it?
Nothing. Okay. Committee reports? Oh. Oh, okay, okay. Yes, if Shelley Fowson could come up here, please. These were the Boy Scouts that came in earlier and wanted to listen to the meeting and then had questions. Go ahead, sir.
I was just gonna have them.
Oh, okay.
So as part of the requirement for their Cub Scouts, they were Troop 711 out of Hopewell Presbyterian Church.
Uh-huh.
And so as part of their requirement, they're supposed to come and observe government in
action.
In action and ask officials what their day is like and that kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna turn it over to them.
Okay, okay. Would any of them like to come up and say something?
I was gonna say, thanks for being here, because this was one of the most peaceful zoning hearings we've
Yeah.
ever had, with Plainview being accepted and
Absolutely.
and the other one
I was
putting
anxious
together a
all
heck of
day.
a property. Thank you.
If you would rather meet me informally after the meeting, we can do that too. Whatever you want me to do.
Yeah,
Would you
she's
rather do
saying-
that?
Yes.
Okay.
It'd be
okay.
easier for you.
Then I'll come down after that. That's fine. Okay, I thought I'm bringing this up here. Okay, that's fine. Sorry, guys. Committee reports. Allison,
I have no reports from legislature.
thank you. Tim?
Planning and zoning has nothing to report.
No, your economic development.
It's been a while.
But thank you, Tim.
Swap. Economic development has nothing to report. Thank you.
Trina?
Administration has nothing.
Kevin?
Mayor, planning and zoning has nothing, but I did want to do a shout out to Chief Sanders and the police department this week. They made an arrest and a big theft ring. Chief, I think it was around $800,000. Is that right? And merchandise had been stolen from a lot of the Lowe's stores. Great job. Great job. Yeah, I was amazed. I was hurt. When I heard the amount of property that y'all had recovered was amazing to me. Planning and zoning has no report.
Thank you. Vince?
Public Works, wants to give a shout out to Jimmy Franconia for cleaning up the mess that, there was an accident on Waterson Trail the other day. And they left the bumper in the road almost, and he had taken care of in short order. It was a very dangerous situation. I drove by it and I couldn't even see it. I knew I lived there and I couldn't even see it hardly, but he got it taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other report.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Pam Hickey.
Debbie's passed out the list of all the things going on. Debbie, you want to talk about it?
Debbie, got anything to say? Okay.
There's just a lot going to be going on here in the next couple months, so.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Pam Ware.
Safety has no report.
Very good. And Mark Bloom.
Nothing from finance, but Mayor, I did get a call from a couple residents over on Chambers Circle behind Carithers.
Right. And I did bring that up, but to be honest with you, it slipped my mind the rest of this week. So you might want to bring it up again.
Okay, just to let everybody know
Right.
what's going on. Yeah, so some, I guess there's folks that normally pick up their students at Carithers, and they're avoiding the carpool line and parking on Chambers Circle behind the school. And they're blocking driveways and basically not following the rules. And it's kind of creating a mess. And I think there's maybe a no parking sign that got put up over there in front of one of the houses. And I think the rest of the houses now want no parking signs too. And so I'm not
I don't
sure.
think we can do that for every house.
Well, it's just a little road. It's like a cul-de-sac.
I know
road.
where it is, yeah.
Not much room.
And the only no parking is on the house closest to the school.
Right.
So they're lining up at all of the other houses on that street, not in front
Does
of
it
the
say do not block driveway or what's it say?
It just says no parking. And then on
I
the
wonder
other
if you
end,
could, Jimmy, you got anything to say? Did you all put that up there?
Yes, ma'am.
the kids
and
are
the reason
supposed
why
to
we
go out
chose that
Siltown Road.
spot, they were parking in their yard and they left pretty deep ruts there.
Yeah.
And so we chose to put a sign there, and then we've had a few phone calls that the people waiting in line is not happy about it. But we don't have anything that says do not block driveway. We could have signs made if need be. But I'm like you, if you start putting no parking signs all the way down the road, the cosmetics of it doesn't look very good.
Doesn't look good.
I don't think they can do it during the day, but in the past, they also, maybe it's just during summertime too, they put that fence in the back of there where the, I guess
Usually
for
have
the
a fence up on
I was gonna
deliveries.
say what's happening, Tim?
I guess for deliveries.
What's happening is instead of the parents going in the carpool line, the official
back there.
carpool line off Billtown Road, they just park in the back of the neighborhood and they tell their kids to walk around the back.
Let me make a suggestion. We'll get this to the safety committee this week. Chief, yeah. We'll get it to the safety committee this week, and I would be thinking along the lines of no parking. This is a cul-de-sac. No parking on the street in this cul-de-sac between the hours of, and because the neighbors might want to park there at night or something like that, but during the hours when they would be picking up from the school. And just make it no parking during those periods of time.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was going to recommend something like that. I know that Cochran Elementary always had a problem, and when folks just spoke to the school, they were able to kind of get them in line, and then some signs got put up that reminded people where the carpool line was, and it kind of solves things. And I don't know if we could, reach out to the school to kind of do a gentle
That's what
reminder.
I was thinking. Yeah,
Bingo. Yeah, that'd be great.
Great contact.
Right. Anything
I
else?
don't have any legal authority, you understand, to do that, but that's why I was saying just during those hours that you would have that.
Okay. So do we need a safety committee meeting or no?
Sounds like we have an idea of what to do.
Yeah, that would avoid a meeting.
I
is
don't
what
think we
she's
need a
saying.
meeting for that.
Yeah.
Okay, she didn't want a meeting.
You know what I
Mm.
mean? I withdraw my recommendation. I don't
Second.
either.
Well,
Draw your
yeah,
recommendation.
it may come back after the request.
Okay.
So nothing else, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna say, while you're in that meeting, I was gonna have you bring something up, but being that we're not having a meeting, I'm just gonna tell the chief, have to get from behind here. I sent you a picture early one morning, 5 a.m., I think. I got did you see that picture that I got from somebody at the gym? And, you know, they were parked in a handicap spot, and the lady at the handicap said, "You're parked in a handicap spot." You read the comments that were given to her. You know, I would like for the police to start ticketing people who are not handicap accessible and do not have those things. Give them a ticket. You know, it's ridiculous that they do that. And half the people I watch are able-bodied getting out of those cars. So I would like that. I wish I could do the same for the handicap restrooms, but I can't police that one. But they need to be reprimanded for it. So if you would do that. Other than that, we do have a lot of stuff getting ready to go on in downtown J-Town, and we're on the move. I'd like to ask my directors, do you have anything to say or talk about? Jimmy, you have anything for me?
We got the trolley back, transmission didn't work on, we got the somewhere waffles, and, once they get put back into place, we're hoping.
Speaking of trolley, we had a good report. Is Matt here? Oh, Matt, you want to tell them what they told us about the trolley? Matt, I didn't see you sitting back there. You're getting as bad as me.
They took my regular seat, the homeowners. Yes, I talked to Tark yesterday. We've been trying to negotiate the idea of either a purchase or a longer term lease. They've come back and has presented a ballpark figure as far as what it would maybe cost the city to purchase it. They did mention that we can be able to deduct out any value that we brought to the trolley as far as what Jimmy has invested in already. So I'm kind of working on getting those final numbers in order to get back with them and see if maybe we can actually get this trolley purchased for next to nothing with it. The only federal requirement that's put on it is if the value, any value exceeding say $5,000, that value has to go back to the Federal Transit Association. KIP or TARC can keep anything 5,000 or less. So we're thinking right now, if I work the numbers off the top of my head, you know, we might be able to get that trolley just for a couple $1,000s, if not, maybe free.
Be a
So
good deal because we put so much money into it, you know, so I would like to purchase it if it comes to that. So we're in the process of negotiating that.
yeah.
So,
And just one more while I'm up here, remember Thursday night, 6 o'clock, we're having one of the U of L classes kind of do part of their public outreach, part of their class.
yeah,
Be
they
right here
worked
in this
hard on
chamber.
that.
Yeah.
Right here in the chamber. Okay, thank you. What about Brian? You have anything for me? Nothing? Okay. Debbie? Okay. Anybody else? Scott? Nope. Chief? Yes. What time is that tomorrow?
8:30, 8:30. Stick with the 8:30. Carol will be there at 10.
Yeah.
Stick with the 8.
Am I supposed to speak? Oh, okay. Matt, you didn't tell me.
8:15.
8:15. 8:15.
Welcome into the city.
If they don't tell me what to do or where to go, I don't know. So I'm glad you told me. Okay, thank you. I'll be there. What else do I have? Scott, I miss anybody here? I don't see Steve. You have anything else for me? Okay.
May
Well,
I say
that-
one more thing? then? 'Cause
Yes.
We're with our partners, the first responders. The Jeffersontown Fire Department had a big last week, opening up a new firehouse, and then they had their award ceremony last weekend.
That was nice.
Much like I enjoy going to the police department and hearing those awards, it was kind of neat hearing some of the firefighters. It just happened to be when they did a heroic thing, the Louisville Fire Department too, so it kind of all hit home. But thank you for the invite and congratulations on the new house.
Thank you.
Please.
Anybody else? Kevin,
Mayor, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.